For the longest time, the Charlotte Hornets and before that the Bobcats have basically had one problem as a franchise. They've never really had a lasting identity. But it didn't always start that way. When the Hornets first came into the league, back in the late 80s and early 90s, they were far from irrelevant. They were actually one of the most coolest and most fun teams in the league. You had Larry Johnson throwing down power dunks and rocking the grandma persona. You had Alonzo Mourning patrolling the paint, blocking shots, hitting game winners. And you had Muggsy Bogues, one of the shortest players in NBA history, running the show and becoming an instant fan favorite just off heart and hustle. You had Dale Curry, Steph's dad, spacing the floor and knocking down threes before three-point line really took off in that era. Later on, you eventually had guys like Baron Davis flying around, attacking the rim, and giving Charlotte that scrappy underdog energy. Back then, Charlotte wasn't just a team on a schedule. They were an event. They led the league in attendance for many years. That building was loud. The jerseys were everywhere. The Hornets actually mattered in NBA conversation. But then slowly, that started to fade. The original Hornets moved, the brand shifted, and when Charlotte got a team back, it wasn't the Hornets. It was the Charlotte Bobcats. And this team was really the most irrelevant team, I think, in NBA history. And that's really though when things went downhill. The Bobcats just weren't a team that felt right. The name, the colors, the team, nothing about it really stuck. It just felt all random. And they really were in a constant cycle of being just good enough to be not exciting and just bad enough to be completely forgettable. And at their lowest, they didn't just struggle. They were historically bad. In the lockout-shortened 2011-2012 NBA season, the Bobcats finished with a 7-59 record. 7 wins, 59 losses. The worst winning percentage in NBA history. They weren't just losing games, they were getting blown off the court and completely ignored. The franchise went from early 90s, we lead the league in attendance and energy, to this quiet and empty bottom of the standings team that most fans outside of Charlotte barely thought about. Even when they got the Hornets name back and the teal came home, the reputation didn't magically change. At the time, they had Kemba Walker, Al Jefferson. They were a pretty solid team back then, but that team still really had no sense of direction. Now, granted, Kemba Walker, when you think about the Hornets mainly today as a franchise in general, I think the number one guy you probably think about in their history as a franchise is Kemba Walker. He is the guy that is the all-time leading scorer. He's really just was the face of this franchise for a long time. But even then, with him, they really had no real sense, as I said before, of direction. They never properly built the right team around him, which is why they were still irrelevant. And even today, the sense that the Hornets are a team that you forget about when you list contenders or even up-and-coming squads, because they haven't even been in that category for a long time. But what's happening right now, that's why it feels so important. Because after years of irrelevance, after being the punchline for the worst record in NBA history, after decades of not knowing who they are, they finally started a real reset with the player who landed in Charlotte, and that guy is LaMelo Ball. LaMelo, when he showed up, he instantly brought something Charlotte hadn't seen since the early Hornets days and the brief Kemba Walker run. Attention. LaMelo brought star power, media buzz, and a whole new wave of fans. It was a walking highlight reel, no-look passes, deep threes, wild finishes, the kind of stuff that you get when you watch House of Highlights every night and puts your team back on the map. He gave the Hornets something they hadn't had in years, a face of a franchise and a reason for people to actually want to tune in. And you could see that outline of the identity forming. A team that runs, shoots, plays fast, and leans into Melo's creativity and flair. But there was still a problem. LaMelo was a question that kept hanging over everything. As talented as LaMelo is, can he really be that guy for the Hornets if he's never healthy? And that's really a fair concern. We've watched multiple seasons get derailed by injuries, ankle issues, missed time, little stretches where he had a flash of superstar potential and then be right back in street clothes. Even coming into this year, there were trade rumors, people wondering if he'd eventually won out. And he had to shut all that down, saying that he liked it being in Charlotte and he wanted to build something there. And on top of that, the fit still wasn't fully right. They were able to get the second pick in the NBA draft a few years later and get Brandon Miller, which was a huge step. Second overall, a big shot creating wing next to LaMelo. But last season, LaMelo and Miller barely got time to play meaningful games together because of health, and really ever since their run with those two being on the same team again. But that led to one more really crucial piece for this Hornets team, and with the core that they were already building there in Charlotte with some guys who they had. That rookie was Knipple. And that's where everything starts to really shift. Fast forward to this season, and now the picture starts to look completely different. LaMelo is finally back and actually playing consistent minutes. The young core around him is actually healthy at the same time. And for the first time in a long time, the roster looks like it fits. This year, LaMelo is giving you about 19 points, 4.8 rebounds, 7.6 assists, and he's right there among the league leaders in assists. He's the engine, he's the organizer, and the guy bending defenses. Brandon Miller, after missing some time with injury, has come back and is taking a legit leap. He's averaging around 20.8 points per game, 4.6 rebounds, 3.4 assists, and roughly shooting 43.5% from the field, and around 37 to 38% from three, and the high 80s from the line. For a 23-year-old wing, that's borderline all-star production. And Knipple walks in as a rookie and immediately gives you around 18.8 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and he's shooting 48.6% from the field and over 40% from deep. For a rookie volume shooter, that's insane efficiency. He's looking way too calm for a first-year player, a guy who's already advanced for his time. And then you stack on that with front court talent like Miles Bridges, who's been there for quite some time now, but he is a physical downhill forward, giving them roughly around 18.6 rebounds and 3.5 assists while guarding multiple spots and attacking the rim. And Moussa Diabate has been basically grabbing that center job and said, "This is mine." He is averaging about 8.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, and he's shooting 64% from the field. And he's among the best rebounders, especially offensively, in the league. He's just a guy that plays with tenacity, and he can also guard multiple positions, not just protect the rim. Suddenly, when you look at this core, it doesn't feel like random pieces thrown together like many of the teams that the Hornets have had in the past. This looks like a foundation of a team that is really building an identity. And that really brings us to now. The Hornets are 22-28, sitting at 11th place in the East, and are riding a 6-game winning streak, their longest in almost a decade and the current longest in the league. And over this stretch, you can see their identity forming really in real time. Number one, they've become an elite offense. On the season, they sit around 118.1 offensive rating, which puts them at 7th in the entire NBA. And in January specifically, they turned it up even more. There were stretches where they had the best offensive rating in the league, around 121 to 122 points per 100 possessions, while posting one of the best net ratings in the NBA for the month of January. And this isn't just a couple of hot shooting nights. This is weeks of consistent high-level offense. Number 2, with LaMelo, Brandon Miller, and Knipple on the floor together, you have 3 guys who can shoot off the catch, can shoot off a dribble, and can create their own looks. Brandon Miller is hooping around at high 30s from 3 on strong volume, and Knipple is over 40% from 3 on real volume. That stretches defense to the limit. The Dallas game is this streak is the perfect snapshot. Knipple drops 34 points, hits a franchise rookie record 8 threes, and calmly knocks down the game-winning free throws with 4.1 seconds left, while Flag is on the other side going off for 49, but the Hornets still get the win. And that's just not a rookie that got hot. That's a rookie that might really be a true problem in Constantinople. And then really number 3, the inside presence and extra possessions. This is where, as I said earlier, this is where Diabate in the front court completely changes the math. The Hornets are now a top 5 in offensive rebounding percentage, creating a ton of second chance points, and one of the best teams in the league at limiting opponent offensive rebounds, giving up only 10.4 offensive rebounds per game, which is top 3 in the entire NBA. And even then, when we look at the shots that aren't falling, they're winning the possession battle. And in their win over the Spurs that extended the streak, San Antonio actually shot better from the field, but the Hornets destroyed them on the glass with 51 rebounds compared to their only 36. That's how you win in grindy late game situations, by giving yourself more chances than the other team. And in the Memphis game, Diabate posts something like 18 points and 20 rebounds, just completely owning the paint. That's the kind of performance the Hornets have been missing for a long time. And this leads us to the last piece during the stretch that has made them successful is ball movement. The last piece is how they're actually playing on offense. During this run, the ball is moving, everyone's involved. In that 130-94 blowout over the 76ers, they finished with 34 assists on 47 shots and drove 17 threes. Against the Spurs, they put up 30 assists with LaMelo going for 16-8 rebounds and 8 assists. Kyle Sexton coming off the bench, giving you 21 points on 7 for 8 shooting and 5 for 5 from 3. So when they say this is one of the best offenses in the league during this stretch, we're not just saying this to hype them up. The numbers actually back it up. Another point to give up as well is that their defense is something that is trending up as well. The other thing that's changed is that it doesn't just show up in the highlight reels. It shows up is the team's defense. The last season, the Hornets sat at the bottom tier defensively, around 24th in defensive rating. They've climbed that up towards the middle of the pack, around 116.3 defensive rating, 19th in the league, while keeping that top 10 offense. During this January stretch, they've actually been good on that end, and there have been stretches of the month where they rank top 5 or even the 7 in defensive rating and first in net rating across the entire NBA. So it's not because they suddenly found a bunch of elite individual stoppers. It's a mix of better rebounding, more size and length, and a clean scheme and effort. They're still not a lockdown defense. They still give up threes, but they are no longer a bottom 5 disaster. And when you pair that with a respectable defense, with a top 7 offense, you're actually talking about a team that can actually win more nights than they lose, which is still very impressive. What really helped during this run, of course, is Brandon Miller. During the season, Brandon Miller in this 6-game winning streak, he's been on a different level. 30 against Philly, 26 against Memphis, 23 in Dallas, and 26 against the Spurs in a game where he struggled from the field at first. But then once he found his rhythm, he got hot and he was making some key plays that helped them win this game, especially in the first half, helping the Hornets go on that big run to help them in the second half. So when you say in the stretch, Brandon Miller is scoring over 20 a night in the 50-40-90 splits, and he's steady number 1 option every single night, that's exactly what it looks like. This is the kind of run where a promising young player crosses over into, oh, this might actually be an all-star we're watching come true. The thing I wanted to really point out is LaMelo's maturity and leadership. At the same time, LaMelo, he has really been evolving himself. He's still around, as I said, 19 and 76 per night, but he's still one of the best passers in the league. But by the way, he's doing it different from early Hornets highlight reel days. During this streak, you get games like 20 points, 11 assists versus Washington, 16.6 rebounds, 7 assists versus Orlando, 16, 8 and 8 versus San Antonio. And he's not out there hunting 30 or 40 every night. He's controlling the pace, reading the defense, trusting Miller and Kunupa to carry a lot of the scoring load, and making sure everyone else eats. He has those wild, flashy LaMelo passes. That's part of who he is. But under that, there's more maturity now. He's starting to play like the leader of a winning team, not just the most talented guy on a losing one. And that's what this franchise has been searching for, a true cornerstone since the days of the early Hornets. And that's huge. And what really makes this team really dangerous as well is that they're so balanced when it comes to their scoring. Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, and Con Canupa are all averaging 18 or more points per game, which just creates all these different offensive opportunities for this team. The really wild part about this team and during this run, but just this team really in general, is that Brandon Miller's only 23, Con Canupa's 20, LaMelo's 24, and is now really stepping into his prime years. And this 6-game win streak, this top 10 offense, this lineup suddenly blowing out teams and actually closing games. This is happening in the early chapters of these guys who they plan on becoming. This is the first real stretch where LaMelo, Miller, Canupa, Bridges, Diabate have all been healthy and starting together consistently. Once the 5-man group got time, their net rating shot up near the top of the league for lineups that actually plays real minutes. You can really see it in the blowouts. You see it in the composure and late games. And on top of that, the new coaching staffs have given them something they've been missing since the 7 and 59 days: structure and direction. Still have things to fix, especially the 3-point defense, the natural inconsistency that comes with a young squad, and yes, the stigma of an irrelevant small market team doesn't vanish overnight. And for the first time since the early 90s days with Larry and Alonzo Mourning, for the first time since Muggsy Bogues and Dell had and their building rocking, the Hornets finally have a real franchise point guard in LaMelo, who's starting to grow up as a leader, a legit go-to scoring wing in Brandon Miller, a fearless young sniper and secondary creator in Con Canupa, a physical, athletic front court with Bridges and Diabate that can naturally win in the glass, and an offensive identity built on pace, spacing, ball movement, and versatility, backed up by defense that no longer is holding them back. The biggest thing holding them back now isn't a lack of talent or relevance, it's just health and time. If this group stays healthy together on the floor, the numbers already say this is a top 7 offense with a real path to the play-in and beyond right now. And if they keep growing, if they keep stack seasons the way they're stacking wins in this stretch, this might turn to be the moment where we look back as a turning point. The stretch where a franchise that once went 7 and 59 and spent years completely off the radar finally started building something real again. The moment when the Hornets stopped feeling like a footnote and started looking like a problem in the Eastern Conference for years to come. I hope you guys enjoyed this very long but good video today. I live near the Charlotte area, so even though I'm not a fan of the team, it's still dope to really see what they're doing and how they're changing as a team and what they've done during the stretch. You know, there's still a long season ahead. We don't know what's really ahead for them. But, you know, if these guys, if they can stay healthy together, if they can keep playing on the floor together and build that chemistry, I no doubt can see this team by starting next year being an actual playoff team 100%. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more basketball content each and every single week. Have a great day. Peace.